It's like a couple seconds. All right. It looks like we're live here on Christos Avatar. Let me see. For some reason, I'm getting the... Can you hear me okay?
Mhm.
All right, just one second. I might have to... Let me mute this. All right. Yeah, I'm getting feedback. Let me fix that.
No problem.
This is going to be weird. I think... All right, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. All right, I had the mute button. So welcome all of you to Christos Avatar. And tonight is a special live as we have an interview here. This is Sherry. And I would
Hello.
like her to, hello, she's going to introduce herself. Go ahead, Sherry. Appreciate it.
Hi, my name is Sherry, but most of you guys, if you've seen my face, will know me as Key Guidance. I started on TikTok and then I went to Instagram and YouTube. But basically, I talk about pretty much the same things as Anu Hazi does. I'm also a super big fan of Asha Nadine's teachings. That woman is genius, right? And
Yeah.
that's all I do. I try to help people wake up to healing their heart because through my spiritual research, I've realized like your heart chakra is really like the center of who you are. And that's your portal out of this matrix and your portal out to healing yourself. And that's all my messages talk about.
Awesome. Thank you, dear. And what kind of led you up in your spiritual journey and your awakening and to the point of why you or how you started teaching it? So,
Um, Funny thing is, I was a diehard atheist my whole life. My whole family is Buddhist, which is really ironic. They were all like very spiritual, like go with the flow and like kind-hearted. But for some reason, as a kid, I was just like, no, I'm going to be atheist. I don't believe in all the spiritual woo stuff. I think that's stupid. And then I had a huge smack in the face awakening around 2020, which is around the same time that I feel like millions of people had a spiritual awakening. The whole lockdown, not be able to do your whole matrix thing, you're forced to look within. And then I had a spontaneous, I think what you call a Kundalini awakening, 2020. And that's when my whole life kind of spiraled out of control. I was working in healthcare. I was supposed to go to medical school. And then all of a sudden I was just like, you know what? I don't think that's my path. Yeah. And so what led me to do my TikTok? So I started off doing tarot at first. That was my introduction to spirituality. I figured out that I had a lot of psychic ability, so I was like a channeler. So I did a lot of tarot readings for the first year. Then I got into a relationship with a 33rd degree Freemason. Don't ask me why I did it. I don't know. I think it was a part of my divine path. And I learned a lot about how shady the government is, how reptilians are basically like, I know this is like a little bit out there, but I'm pretty sure for your audience it's not.
yeah, it's not.
Reptilians basically host these avatars of these people who are usually Templars, Skull and Bones, Freemasons, Luciferian Satanists. Um, Unfortunately, I did learn a lot from the 33rd degree Masons. And that's why I felt like I had like there was an inner calling within to really start that TikTok to warn people about what's coming. And around the same time that I dated that 33rd degree Mason, I discovered Ashayana Dean's teaching and everything clicked. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's telling the truth because everything I went through, she's saying it word for word. Yeah.
Yeah, that's similar to my experience, how you described yours. I didn't have a reference point back then, right? So I was getting into the occult myself. And I too, which I noticed a lot of starseeds are having this experience of channeling. And
Hmm.
I didn't know what it was. I didn't study it. I wasn't trying to do it. It just happened, right? And that's a lot of our journey is starting with these paranormal things, you could say paranormal, supernatural, but but our background, like your Buddhist background couldn't explain it. My Christian background couldn't explain it. So I had to go find it. Right.
Yeah.
And so I want to ask you, did you have a bunch of, you know, like people in your family, in your friends, in the world in general, kind of go against that grain that you're trying to awaken, but they're not, right?
Yeah. Surprisingly, my family is, I wouldn't say supportive, but they're okay with it because they're Buddhist. Buddhism is not really a religion per se. It's more
Okay.
like of a way of being. So they always believed in the more like out there stuff, like energies, frequency. God is within, God is everything around you. And so my family was okay with it. The most backlash I've ever gotten was actually online, where people, people call you, oh, you're crazy, like you didn't take your meds, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I majored in biochemistry. I got into medical school. I know what I'm talking about. I'm high functioning. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
So
I
for
get a
you, like,
lot.
yeah,
I
where
mean,
did your opposition come from mostly?
yeah, I want to say that. I get the same comments, man. It's their
Yeah.
expression of their 3D conscious level. Schizophrenia, you get off the
Mm,
drugs or go see a shrink or something. But I want to say to everyone watching, those who identify as a light worker or starseed, whatever, um, just that is something that you're going to learn how to, you have to learn how to deal with, how to transmute that negative energy, that aggression, that negativity, and stand in your light, right, Sherry? You
yeah.
stand in your light and don't let someone knock you off, distract you. As a matter of fact, we talk about putting boundaries on people who are trying to do that in your life. It is something you learn doing your ego work, your shadow work, you transmute. So. I want to ask you,
Yeah.
what is key guidance like the term? Is that like, oh, I forgot to answer your question. Let
Yeah.
me, but let me just ask real quick about the meaning, key guidance. I don't want to assume.
Oh, it's because it's definitely in part due to Ashayana Dean because I learned so much through her teachings. I
Ah,
was like, oh, Keylontic sciences. It's like a key to your heart. That makes sense because I was trying to teach how to
ah,
heal your heart. So I was like, duh, that's the best username ever.
yeah, yeah. Awesome. I wasn't thinking that. That's cool. Yeah, Galactic Science, KS. So, and I personally just went through my own journey of that awakening and coming to that conclusions. And I too found Ashiana Dean's teachings, and that really shifted me. Like you said, you had a whole major shift. I had a whole major shift, and it just put me my life on another path. And I just want to say that
Mm,
it's not always going to be fun. It's not going to be comfortable, but there's something deep inside you
mm,
that's pulling you uh, or guiding you, what we call the higher self, which is
mm.
yourself. And I saw in one of your videos you had mentioned about angels, having an experience with angels. I
Yes.
didn't watch all that. Could you share that with our audience, your experience?
So there are different types of angels. There are like oraphims, seraphims, cherubims, all of these. Personally, what I've come to find out is that dragons, primordial dragons, are of, I think, the oraphim or seraphim line. Correct me if I'm wrong if you're really good with angels, but certain angels look a certain way. So during one of my shroom trips I had like a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now, um, I took so much that I felt like I was going to die. I was like, oh my God, this is what an ego death feels like. I think I'm gonna like my soul is literally gonna like come out of my body. And while I was having these panic thoughts, every time I closed my eyes, I would see like this golden dragon
Mhm.
with like its body was like a Taurus field. And its whole body was made up of millions of eyes, and the eyes would follow
Wow.
me everywhere I go. So it didn't matter if I closed my eyes or opened my eyes, it was there in front of me at some point. And I'd walk around the room and the eyes would just follow me. And I asked
That's
it,
crazy.
I was like, what are you? And it was like the creator of this matrix. I was like, oh. And I remember, I don't know if it was Ashayana or some other spiritual teacher, but I think my intuition tells me this is the truth. Uh, the higher, whatever you want to call these higher dimensional entities, I'll just use this one term. It's angels. Some of them have fallen, right? And because angels are so powerful, they can create their own like mini reality. So I feel like something happened in their genetic makeup in which they just kind of glitched. And now they've created like their own like little nightmare within the bigger universe, if that makes sense. And the energy of angels is extremely powerful. You feel naked, like you feel completely seen through. Like there's not one part of you that they don't see. And it's extremely intimidating. That's why I tell people, like, if you think angels or like angelic energies is like all love and light and caring and endearing, they're not. Angelic energies are extremely, extremely powerful. You almost get a like an authoritative feeling from them. Whereas with demonic energies, it's a little bit, no, it's a lot more like deceitful, sly, playful, immature. That's how you can tell the difference.
Yeah, that's an awesome. Thank you for sharing that. A lot of people who haven't gone on a journey, they don't comprehend some of that stuff, and they will label it, "Oh, you're dabbling in with Satan and Lucifer." They haven't actually opened these higher chakra. This is
Hmm.
how we perceive those higher levels. We're opening
Yes,
that in our journey. And it's not hope, it's not faith. You literally see,
see it.
experience, feel, right? Isn't it like
Hmm.
just as real as this reality?
Yes, it's just as real. I have a friend who took DMT multiple times, and she says when you're in that reality, it literally just feels like you're in that reality.
Mhm.
Like you just woke up one day and decided to enter through a portal, and now you're in that reality. And what is reality, right? Through science, they teach us it's holographic. Like, is really anything solid? If you tap your desk enough times, your hand pokes through it, right? So nothing is truly solid. All is in the mind, and we are all fragments of what you call the God mind. So technically, we're all hallucinating.
Yeah, it's like something that most people are just gravitating toward 3D concepts and explanations. And
Yeah,
so this is something that you literally find within yourself, and then you go on a journey of finding what it is, find knowledge that explains it, like, or find other people, like-minded people who can share some of their similar stories. And
yeah.
so, and like you said, not all of them are positive, right?
And there's a growing number of us, but just like how Ashana Deed was saying, this whole movement has been infiltrated, and it has been infiltrated for since like the 60s, honestly. Every time there's a like an expansion
Since
of the actual
Atlantis.
every time there's an expansion of the actual truth, it like kind of collapses within itself because there's some movement, like the no offense to the love and light movement, but the love and light movement. It's great to have love and it's great to be empathetic. But I think that teaching teaches you to pacify yourself and be people pleasing and just allow things to control you. When really, I think you have more autonomy than you believe.
Yeah, that's one thing about these teachings. They talk about going inside to find the inner God spark within.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, Most people will say that's a sin against God, but actually, God is not limited to a male or a female body form. God is beyond manifestation. God is pure consciousness. Thank you for that, Holy Ones. And so we're just finding that, right? I mean, you find that
Hmm.
within your journey or not. I mean, if you're gravitating to an angry God that kills and murders or whatever, judges you, then that's your free will choice. Everyone's making their free will choice. And
Yeah.
so that's what spirituality, most people go into spirituality only when they're having horrible circumstances or drama in their life. They say, "Oh, this isn't working. Well, let's find something that will take me out of the suffering," right?
Yeah. And that's how they get trapped into like the new age, like just passive teachings. Um,
Ashiana, she calls it the love, light, and clueless moment.
yes, yes, I agree. I agree.
Love and
There's
light,
this,
yes,
yeah,
but cluelessness, no, right?
I totally believe that love and light is an integral part of being human. This is why it's called humanity. You need to have empathy, right? To be humane is to be a human. But how it's going right now with like channeling, speaking of channeling, Like I've had a very bizarre moment in my life where I feel like this is what led me to Ashayana Dean's teachings. And have you heard of the researcher Eve Lorgan?
I haven't, I can't say that I have. Can you, what about him?
She's really cool in
Oh,
that she has a whole book proving that sometimes you really cannot believe synchronicities or like channelings
mm,
because I think she teaches I don't think she knows who Ashayana Dean is. I don't think there's a
mm,
correlation, but they have experienced the same things.
yeah,
Um, So I went through this crazy thing in which I was going down the love and light and clueless path, where I
yeah,
was just believing everything that the Matrix was sending me. And
yeah,
that's when I met the 33rd degree Mason ex-boyfriend of mine. And before meeting him, I had psychics tell me that I was going to marry a man who had tan skin, curly dark brown hair, golden hazel eyes, and he was going to be of a very specific mix, which was half Spanish and half Eastern European, which is exactly what he is. And so when I met him, I had this extreme familiar feeling, like I think I know you from somewhere. And when I started to figure out like this man is actually demonic and he's a reptilian in a human suit, I asked the universe, I was like, universe, if this is supposed to be my future husband, please send me a green butterfly. Next week, I see a green butterfly fly past the both of us. And instead of me being like, oh, I totally believe this. Yeah, I'm just gonna go down this terrible path for myself. I decided to question it. And that's when I discovered Asha Dean and Eve Lorgan. And basically, sometimes because we live in a matrix, when you channel certain entities, you have no idea what you're channeling. When you see certain synchronicities, you may also be fooled. So Eve Lorgan, she talks about what is called the alien love bite, in which these reptilians or Anunnaki or whatever you want to call them, they see that you have a specific bloodline or DNA that is very powerful. So you could be Melchizedek or
yeah,
something along the lines of that. Um, and they're like, we need your DNA for our people. So we're going to, using the Matrix and Metatron, we're going to set you up with our own kind, and then you can create this hybrid for us that we can just use at our own will. And I feel like I had to say that because I think recently there's been a huge number of customers I've had who've been telling me about this. So I think they're like that side, like the reptilian side, they're getting very desperate for energy because I think
yeah.
too many of us are waking up.
I think it's a two-way, it's for two purposes. They're first of all taking advantage of the indigo starseeds connections. They're called ascension codes. It's in their DNA. They want those for access
Mhm.
that they don't have. But it's also to stop you from doing your Christos work or your guardian work. And so they're stopping that while they're utilizing you, using you for their own negative agendas. And there's plenty of negative agendas out there.
No, for sure. Have you ever had like what is the creepiest dream you've had that you're just like, I think this is what's really happening in the world? Have you ever had
Well,
any of those dreams where it's like premonition?
yeah, I think a lot of starseeds get that. We're just, like we mentioned earlier, you open your heart strand, your throat strand, your sixth strand, that's fourth dimension, fifth dimension, sixth dimension. And
Mhm.
so other systems will call that past lives, future lives, but those are all simultaneous lives. And so I would see some of the things, anybody can see things that are actually maybe from your parallel self, or higher selves. And we will see these timelines. We will see like it's real, like we mentioned earlier. It will feel just like it's real. I saw, I believe I saw parallel because I saw Dracos and they were huge. I
Mhm.
mean, 18 feet tall or something. There was two of them and they were walking. And this was an attack, by the way. They were attacking our planet. Imagine it's planet Earth, Independence
Yeah.
Day. And instead of those kind of aliens, though, there was a bunch of like raptor beings. Not I'm not talking about the Dracos now. I'm talking about they had a bunch of little raptor beings going around eating humans. So, and we know from the teachings that they actually take over parallel Earth. So
Yeah.
that's one example. I mean, I've seen a bunch of cataclysm type dreams. I wasn't comfortable, happy seeing that, but what is it? It's us seeing that, it's
Yeah.
experiencing that. And we're not limited to 3D. We're not limited to 2024. We can, our consciousness can go to other levels of reality. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's a trip.
Why do you think they haven't been able to? Because this is something I've been thinking about too. Why do you think they haven't been able to fully consume this energy, this reality yet?
Well, according to the teachings, it's in the process of that. It's called a descending earth. And it's not just, it's because of our race karma and giving these beings permission. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like you got to give permission to the vampire to come into your home. Well, we gave these permission. Now well, not all of us, but billions of people are worshiping these beings. They gave
Hmm.
them their power. So it's in a descending earth. And this is human seeding three. They took us over, not just reptilians, but Anunnaki too. Human seeding one, wiped out. Human
Yeah.
seeding two, wiped out. Here we are. This seeding started 800,000 years ago. And the Anunnaki and the reptilians are still attacking us. And
Yeah.
so what's around the corner? It just depends, why it haven't gotten wiped out, because there's still of us Christos avatars, archangels, and angels being born here. So is but there's still going to be three different timelines. What is your choices? What are your thoughts? What are your actions? Well, that's guiding you to that timeline or to this one, inner earth, or to 5D Tara. And so,
I have a feeling we might be getting closer to Inner Earth because I keep hearing, I didn't know what Inner Earth was. I kept hearing Agartha like a couple weeks ago. I was like, what
it's
the
the
hell
same
is
thing.
Agartha? And I Googled it. I was like, oh, Inner Earth. I was like, there might be a chance where we can actually save ourselves and reverse what was happening. And I brought up the premonition dream because it wasn't really a dream. No, it was like a vision I had on a shroom trip.
Mhm.
But I saw so the dragon being, whatever it was, Orphan, Seraphim, I don't know. It started speaking to me and it was like, we need to get out of here. Like I'm trying my hardest to get you guys out of here too. I don't know if he was the creator, I don't know if like he was like the bad creator or he just made a oopsie, like oops, I didn't know that I messed up. But I saw a vision of like a tornado, you know how it spins? It expands on top and it tapers down to the bottom. I see a little human man. This was like symbolism, walking down deeper and deeper into the tapered section in which it almost got sucked into a black hole.
Mhm.
And then the dragon was showing me that, basically saying if humanity makes the wrong moves again, we're going to be sucked into like a black hole matrix. I didn't even know what a black hole matrix was at that point.
That's
So that's how I knew it was telling the
crazy.
truth. Yeah.
That matches right up with what the Guardians are saying. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean humanity's damned or
It's
doomed,
we're
you
not.
guys.
We're not. Yeah.
That we're not saying that. We're saying that it's all based on free will choice. And if you're one of those people that is toxic and negative, that's not really just this life. Maybe you've had several lives like that. And
Yeah.
so I mean, karma is a touchy topic, but even the Guardians talk about personal karma, planetary karma, race karma, galactic karma, universal karma. So what it is, it's not what people think. It is something that part of your past can affect the present. Just like your present can affect the future. Well, it's all interconnected. And so we got to be very mindful of what we're responsible here in this embodiment. And so we're
Yes.
like priests serving light. So
Yeah. It's very stressful to do what we do, honestly, because most people who are not awakened will be like, oh, you're schizo. You need to take your meds, go to a psych
yeah.
ward, blah, blah,
Uh,
blah. And the ones who are listening to us, they're completely new to this and they freak out, right? And they don't know what to do. It's a very like hardcore thing to do. But I think between you and me and other spiritual teachers, especially ones who follow like the right spiritual teachings, um, I think we have a really good chance at winning this. I think it's starting to like, it's kind of like a pendulum. It's starting to go the other way because there's so many people, like, look at how the world is. We are starting to see evil for what it is. We're starting to see politicians for who they are.
yes.
Yeah. We're starting to see how corrupt capitalism can be, technocracy, all these things are just like, we should be able to just roam free in nature and have our little tribes. Like, why are we living this way?
Yeah, I see. Yeah, that it could very well be not a planetary thing, but like a different time period thing. Like, because people reach a certain age, they die. So there will be a separation when there's a bunch of people going through the natural death process. Well, their soul's not going to return and become a baby here. They're going to go into another timeline because they ascended. If you don't go through that, if you haven't activated yourself, you're just staying in the same timeline, which is not great. You don't want to stay in this
Yeah.
timeline. So that's how consciousness works. That's how ascension works. It's not a global thing. It's a personal thing. It's like you can't go to the fifth dimension without five strands of DNA. So if you're being a good person at it, that's great, but you have to have been working on this consciousness, the chakra, the Templar, the Merkaba field, and then
Yes.
you're gonna make you got your ticket, you got the keys to the 5D. So
Yeah, yeah. And the key is actually a lot of it's your heart, right? Your heart's at the center of all your chakras. It connects all of it. So it's like, kind of like the equalizer. This is why in ancient Egypt, and I always say this to every single customer of mine, in ancient Egypt, they were very serious about their spirituality in that were they a little bit evil? Maybe, but they knew what they were talking about. Anubis, the god of death, I believe, he has to see the pharaoh's heart. Like he has to weigh it on a scale. If the heart is heavier than a feather, the pharaoh can't move on to the afterlife. And their afterlife is like a promise of like basically a fairyland, right? If you want a better life, if you want to move on to the afterlife, your heart has to be as light as a feather. This means a lot of shadow work. So if you guys are wanting to really ascend, instead of ignoring the shadow and be like, oh no, no, it's not there. You have to integrate it, master it. Instead of allowing your demons to scare you, your demons should respect you.
yeah, excellent point.
Yeah.
And I just want to say real quick, you mentioned Egypt. For those of you who don't know, Egyptians, they come out of the Atlanteans. Okay, they're part of there's a root races, and inside of root races are subraces. Inside of subraces are families. So Egyptians actually come out of Atlantis. This is why they're so brilliant and so connected to the spirituality and astronomy and all that stuff. And so let's also realize all humans, we have a third chakra. That's the fourth root race. The Egyptians, you have memory of Egypt. All of us do. Just the fact that you're here. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, and also it's interesting
Yeah.
because a lot of these Egyptian gods that you just mentioned, Anubis, Isis, Horus, uh, there was another one, the cow one. What's the cow one? It looks like a cow.
Oh, I forgot. I know what you're talking about, but I forgot its
Yeah.
name.
Okay. So those ones were originally guardians, but like everything else, they got twisted into some dark stuff. But yeah, those were actually beings that were trying to guide us and teach us, not hold us back. So,
Yeah.
but I love Egypt. So
Yeah. Oh, have you had a past life in Egypt? Do you remember it?
yeah, it's so weird because when I was channeling 10 plus years ago, a lot of Egyptian stuff came through, man. Something and um so also Mayans, Atlantis,
Hmm.
and definitely future stuff that are incomprehensible to try to explain to some people because we see our archangel selves, sure, but you can see your avatar selves, you can see your ascended master selves, and you're not just an individual, you're a massive collective. And you're
Yeah.
not just perceiving your awareness, you're perceiving many awarenesses at once. So have you had any experiences with your own higher levels? Or do you
I'm
just call them spirit guide?
starting some of the spirit guides that I have, I don't really trust. And I don't even know if they're my guides per se, or they're just like reptilians that
Yeah.
were sent to destroy me. But I try not to channel too much spirit guides. I try to channel my higher self. I'm starting to think my higher self may be that golden dragon. Because one time my friend, she's incredibly psychic. One day she just looks at me and she's like, there's a golden dragon hovering above your head. She's like,
Wow.
that's freaky. And she's like, it's a male. And I was like, how did you know it's a guy? It's a male. Like when he speaks to me, it's like a booming, like a male voice. And she's like, that's an orphan.
Mhm.
So I think that's what my, or not original, but like the closest thing you can get to original origins. It was
Yeah.
that golden dragon. Yeah. And I've the one past life I do very clearly remember that was in ancient Egypt. I forget, was it Melchizedek? I don't know what they call it. I think it was called something else, where they had like very babyish looking faces and the back of their heads are super long.
Mm. Sounds like the
I think
Syrians.
Ashana, I think she talks about that. They were like the holders of like a certain DNA code that was like very important. Um, but anyway, I remember seeing in my visions, I was a male, I think I was like 14 years old, maybe, very young, very, very tall. I was sitting on like a throne looking thing, and I just see like people worshiping me, but I'm not sure why they're worshiping me. I was very confused. It's like I was placed there out of
Mhm.
my control. And I noticed that the back of my head was extremely long, like those
Mhm.
ancient
Mhm.
Egyptian carvings or like certain tribes in Africa. I think they still hold the memory of that time and they bind their babies' heads to look like that, to almost kind of worship what their gods used to look like. And I think it was one of those races that was carrying the ascension codes for humanity. And I think I was killed in that lifetime, like brutally murdered by Egyptians. Yeah.
Yeah, we have the Seraphim races. Those are all the reptilians coming out. That would include dragons, positive
Yeah.
or negative. And so also bird people and the insectoid people come out of Seraphim. Elohim
Mhm.
are about mammals, cat beings, and stuff like that. The Anu were cat, aquatic, feline aquatic apes. All the other stuff like aquatics are coming out of the violet flame. So yeah, I also had a green dragon. It was freaking amazing. It was like a
Yeah.
serpent type of style, not Game of
Hmm.
Thrones style, but and it was the size of a car, and it was moving like this, and then it faced me.
Yes.
And it had not like a giant smile, but it had a slight smile, and kind of like you mentioned, like these eyes, welcoming, not threatening, but still stern, and like a guide, like a teacher, like at a Japanese dojo, master, guru. I mean, like a expert in its field. And so I this was the type of being I would say it had like a name. Like maybe it was part of, like you mentioned, a part of myself.
Hmm.
So people may not understand some of that, but that's what reincarnation is. That's what other past lives are. Some of us remember. And that
Yeah.
is like something that it's part of incorporating our life here. So
And it's crazy to believe that years ago you and I both would have been like, that can't be true. That
yeah,
sounds crazy, but it's true. When you see it with your own eyes and you know you're a functioning person, you can do your taxes, you can talk to normal people, you're not crazy.
yeah.
That's how you know it's the truth.
Mhm.
And I think more and more people, because my TikTok, I think got like close to 600,000 followers. And I
Oh
talk about some
yeah.
very, yeah. Then I got banned because I was talking too much.
That was one of my questions. Could you tell us why is there a specific video or just in general, or maybe you had a couple of
Oh,
warnings?
I had only like two warnings. I can't say they took down too many of my videos, but I think my intuition is telling me people were reporting it
Yeah.
because they didn't like what I was
Haters.
saying. Yeah. And I wouldn't say that they were haters. I remember this one time I posted a video about reptilians. And I have to preface this saying I'm not trying to be rude. If you're Jewish, I'm not trying to say anything, but um there was this one video I posted about reptilians. I did not mention Jewish people at all. It was just talking about reptilians, just
Mhm.
straight up. What are reptilians? What do they want from us? Then a random Asian guy that's like a Wiccan or like some kind of like he's into like the occult or witchcraft. I don't know. Um,
First red flag.
he, yeah, he stitches my video and he's like berating me about how this is racist.
Ah,
And I was like, racist? I was like, I'm talking about reptilians. I'm like, when did I mention race? And then I was watching his video and he was like, this is like you're being racist against Jewish people. And like he reported my video and he got all of his like Wiccan witch friends to go against me.
Wow.
And I was just
Wow.
like, what does that have to do with Jewish people? I think these are the type of, I don't think I had anything to do with Jewish people. I think it was just one of
Well,
those avatars that was probably possessed by an actual reptilian and just needed a reason to not let you talk.
yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
like a tactic.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
trying to get you aligned with hate speech or
Yes.
something like that. And then that's against their TikTok policy. So,
Yeah.
but and it doesn't sound good that there's a bunch of witches now casting spells,
Oh,
right? So,
I've been so spiritually attacked. I went to this Hindu priest of all people. Hinduism is actually the oldest religion on planet Earth. So I think they do know what they're talking about. Because I was feeling very drained and down and depressed. And I was like, I'm doing everything right. I'm trying to eat right. I take my supplements. I go out for walks. What is wrong? And he takes my hand, he reads my energy, and he's like, oh, you have a lot of evil eye on you. He's like, you have a lot of black magic practitioners against you.
mm,
Yeah. And he's like, I think they're a part of a cult, maybe like some kind of brotherhood. And I was like, does Freemason
wow.
sound familiar? He's like, I've never heard of that word, but energetically that feels right. Yeah.
Well, you said your ex. I mean, I know
Yeah,
he's,
yeah, he's also highly spiritual, incredibly psychic, more psychic than I am or a lot of my friends, which is very alarming. But I don't think it was him, shockingly. I think it was people outside of him. I think it was people who saw my videos that were like, you can't talk about what you're talking about.
well, if you had 600,000, is that how many you had? 600,000?
Yeah, yeah, close
There's
to.
going to be even a small percentage of that. 1% would still be a lot of negative people trying to stop you, right?
Yeah.
That's why I just want to say anyone watching this, light will be attacked and these teachings will be attacked. And so, because that will happen, you learn as much as you can about self-defense, spiritual self-defense, protection, and maintain that every single day. I do this every single day, connecting to my own inner family of consciousness, to Holy Elohai, whatever you think. I use smudging, be involved in spiritual hygiene, and learn how to protect yourself. Wouldn't you say so, Sherry?
Yes, I've recently learned about the Maharic seal, which has been
There we
very
go.
useful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Learn about the Maharic seal. It's very easy. You can even just go online, Google it. It's there. And do that every day. Once I do
Moderators,
this,
please post that. Go ahead.
I do this once in the morning when I wake up and once at night right before I go to sleep. And my energy levels skyrocket when I do that because I haven't been doing that throughout my whole
Wow.
spiritual path, which now I know is a mistake. So please do your protection rituals.
Yeah. And it has some steps, but you just memorize it and practice it, and then you can do it quickly. There's actually a
Mhm.
shorthand version. Once you get it in place and like a routine of it, you're developing resonance with it. You can now pull it up quickly. And it's
Yeah.
12 dimensional current, which is outside of all of this drama, outside of polarity, outside of any type of distortion. So that's why we have incentive to protect ourselves with these higher energies. And so
Mhm.
we don't allow others beings to control and manipulate us, right?
Yes. And it kind of sucks how a lot of our DNA has been integrated with the reptilian and Anunnaki. So it's like we always have, it's like this annoying little fly that's buzzing around us constantly, which is like the negative inner voice, which is really annoying. But instead of like fighting it, just ignore it. Just like treat it as like an annoying little fly. Be like, oh, you're here again, whatever.
Well, yeah, that's um something that we just learn how to do, have discernment with ourselves and check who's in our hologram experience, who's in here, and be more mindful, stand in your presence, have awareness, and then those things will be revealed to you, especially if you put intention there and you're using
Mhm.
regular manifestation. You drive your hologram. Don't allow these other things to affect you. So,
Yep. Um,
what do you think is
yeah.
some of the dangerous new age practices that a lot of people are doing now that
Channeling,
you would
first
advise
and
against?
foremost.
Yes.
Channeling.
Yes.
Oh, I have to tell you this crazy story. I posted a video on this. I don't know if it was taken down, but I'll repost it again on my new TikTok. Um, so I went to this spiritual convention with my friend. It was called Gate Stairways to the Heavens. Yes, it was in Las Vegas. Red flag number one. Why are you hosting it in Las Vegas? And they hosted it in a the Pyramid Building in Las Vegas. I forgot what's it called. That building. But anyway, it's the
Luxor.
shape of a yes, Luxor
Luxor. Yeah.
hotel. And the energy there, the moment I stepped into Luxor, I was like, something feels very bad. Like I don't know what's going on. I was like, I feel very suspicious about this. And before I went to that spiritual convention, because I've never been to a spiritual convention, I was so curious.
Mhm.
I remember this one video I watched of Ashanti. She was just like, some of these spiritual healers and spiritual convention people are actually energy harvesting. And that
Oh
just
yeah,
popped up
yeah.
in my head. And I was like, oh, I think it's one of those. And my intuition was right. So me and my friend were both like highly intuitive. We're sitting at one of like the mass meditations they were holding in the morning. And they told us to open up our palms like this to receive energy. I don't think we were really receiving energy. We were giving energy. We were giving permission. And me and her both saw almost like a hologram of like these really tall reptilian like beings standing on the stage. They were like about the same height you said, 14, 12, 14 feet tall. They were standing there like pillars. And I saw when people started praying and like chanting a mantra because the spiritual teachers told them to, um, there was like this clear astral cord that started to appear above their crown chakra, and it was connecting directly to the reptilians. And I was like to my friend, I was like, "Do you see that?" She's like, "I see that." And so
That's crazy.
I don't know why, I intuitively just like started to imagine myself cutting the cords. I started slicing each one of the cords through my own, like, I guess, intention. And here's the creepy part. The one of the masters on the stage that told us to do this meditation, his eyes were closed during the whole like praying, chanting mantra time. And then his eyes open. And of there was like at least 100 people in the room. His eyes directly land on us. He just looked at us. And I was like, why is he looking at us when there's so many people? And he
Mhm.
just kind of looks at us like in a really creepy, non-blinking way. And he just kind of smiles and he closes his eyes again. And then we see him again outside of that mass meditation. And he does that weird, creepy smile again. And then my friend, she was like, I think that's an Anunnaki. She was like, I sense it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you were cutting the cords. They didn't like that. What are you
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
Right?
Like of all the people, he looks directly at me and my friend, and we were getting kind of freaked out because we knew we were doing stuff that they didn't like.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy, man. Because I go to a lot of UFO conventions, and uh, they know that starseeds go to these things. So they're gonna
Yeah.
make sure, I'm sure they even plan it and organize it to 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 either trick you, distract you, to lead you to false teachings.
Yes.
And like you were doing, they give us specific instructions that, the Guardians teach Merkaba, but these type of people are going to teach reverse Merkaba or
Yes.
anything. They're going to teach you stuff that doesn't empower you, but disempowers you. And here's a very important topic is hybrids. On our planet, we have human alien Anunnaki hybrids. We have reptilian human hybrids. We have even the Illuminati are not all human. They're part
Hmm.
alien. And then there's a positive one called the Indigo Children. They're part alien too, but they're here to help us. So some of these beings that you see at the Luxor Hotel or wherever are going to be hybrids working their agendas. And some of these
Yes.
people don't even know they're hybrids.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my intuition told me that that particular spiritual master, who was a guy, he knew what he was doing because he had this
Mhm.
like I call
Yeah.
it the Freemason smirk. Like whatever bloodline they're from, they always just have this like sly smirk on their face. But I feel like the one woman who was singing the mantra, she was singing and praying to the Galactic Federation, which that's another story. She was singing and praying to the Galactic Federation. I don't think she knew what was going on. I think her heart was really in it, and I felt
Yeah.
really bad because she herself couldn't see like the cords that were connecting to these reptilians.
And it's not like we can prove that to people. I mean, they
Yeah,
haven't activated their astral vision. And
yeah,
so, but yeah, this is going on in the new age, you guys. There are pitfalls in new age. There are distorted teachings. And so we all need to have discernment and like Sherry did, she's like her own intuition. There's something not right. Let's cut some of these connections. What's going on, right? We have to pay attention to those clues and trust your if you have some negative feeling towards what's going on, trust that. Pay attention to that. There's something there's a higher level of you that's trying to, hey, pay attention, right? So
yes. And I after I posted that video talking about the energy harvesting that these spiritual teachers were doing, I had so many people respond to my TikTok video who
yeah.
were at the convention. Some of them were selling crystals. They were like,
Whoa.
yeah. And they're like, I thought I was crazy. I was feeling so drained during that whole thing. One of them, she was selling crystals there. She stitched my video and she was like, I went to one of the mass meditations that I didn't go to, but she went to. And she said her crown chakra was buzzing, but not in a good way. Like it was massive headache. She felt like throwing up. And at some point I felt like throwing up at the convention too. And afterwards she felt like she wasn't grounded and like something just zapped her of her energy. And she didn't want to believe it, but I think she said in her video, like something in her intuition told her reptilian. And she
Mhm.
just like, no, 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 I don't think so. But it was.
Yeah, those are clues. Those are signs. And
Um,
when you feel those things in your body, your body's telling you. That's consciousness. It's telling you this is. I mean, you know when you feel good, and you know when you feel something's wrong. So pay attention to that. And even if you have to step away, right? Step away from that. Walk out the door from that luxury hotel, for example. You have free will to do that. So just be mindful of those things, you guys out there.
yeah. And anytime you guys go to a spiritual convention, learn the Maharic Shield, protect yourself, smudge yourself,
Yes.
and learn. This is a really good tip if you want to learn how to go. Like indigos have a very specific energy frequency. We will be stared at no matter where we go. You could be wearing the most normal clothing and people will stare at you because they can feel your energy, right? If you want to blend into a crowd, I always use the static method. So imagine like your physical body, like your skin is like TV static. You know when you open your TV as a kid and the reception's not good, you just get static. And you're just like, oh no, I can't watch anything. The frequency's all messed up. If you want to blend into a crowd and you want to observe, use that static method. Trust me, you'll blend right in and nobody's going to be draining you of your energy.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Wait, we're here, right? Let me second. Um, I was just checking on chat. Yeah, that we need techniques, you guys. We don't, it's not just theoretical and learn stuff. You're actually involved. You're actually doing meditation. You're actually doing what's called pranayama, which is breath work. You're learning shield techniques. And the technique that Sherry just shared with you. Thank you, sister, for that. And that is something that we're mindful of and we don't stop learning. We're not saying any of us are experts or don't have room for growth. We're always learning and improving ourselves. That's part of our journey.
Yes.
So,
And if you're on this awakening journey here on Earth, I just have to say conserve your energy and have discernment, but mostly conserve your energy. Your energy is also one of the keys to your ascension. If they can find a way to zap your energy, it's going to be like a hamster on a wheel. So meditate more, go out in nature more. Literally just plant your bare feet on grass or Mother Earth. That's why it's called Mother Earth, because the mother replenishes you.
oh yeah, that is one of the things is nature. You guys want to like experience, and I mentioned that recently. It's kind of like get outside the grid. We're energy beings, and you're surrounded by all this toxic energy. You have to remove yourself from it sometimes. Get outside of it, go to nature, get replenished, see the beautiful plants, animals, the fresh air, go for walks, hike a mountain, and you would say that's a time, it's a sort of detox almost. So
Mhm. And also be wary of the foods you eat. Sometimes organic doesn't even really mean anything. Like,
yeah.
if you have no choice, because I know there are food desert places, I would say, pray pray for like a protection mantra or just like maybe there's research online you can do where like you can kind of make your frequency or energy higher, I guess, in a sense, so that kind of food doesn't really affect you as much. They're poisoning everything, which sucks. Um, but if there's a will, there's a way. I say sometimes it's okay to survive out of spite, just because you can, just to show them, yeah, I did it.
Yeah, they're poisoning our seeds, they're poisoning our food, they're poisoning our air, our water, our spiritual beliefs. It's all these different flanks. It's a military attack. This is why the Guardians call them fallen angels, negative ETs, whatever you want to call them. And so this is a spiritual war. One of the things you learn in your spiritual awakening is that there's a spiritual war. We all
Yes.
want to just be blissed out and have fun and to celebrate, but we have to be also mindful of that spiritual war.
Yeah. And don't fall into the trap of too often like I know a lot of people are really, really good at heart, and we tend to project the goodness outside, and we think, oh, that person isn't capable of that. That politician wouldn't do that. Why would they do that to us? The rudest part of the spiritual awakening is understanding that they would do that to us. They can, and they will. And
Yeah.
accepting that and being like, oh, there's duality here is actually a much healthier way to spirituality than just denying the evil.
And besides the negative stuff, what kind of like beautiful, positive, blessed, divine things, experiences that you may have had, and anything from your mushroom trip or DMT or just a meditation?
The beauty in this existence. I don't know why. I think I was chosen for the path of a little bit more darkness because I think my vessel in itself can hold on to darkness very well. I think it's called Indigo 3, right? Where
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, you can hold on to the darkness a lot better. I think I'm a part of Indigo 3. Um the beauty in this is you understand that you're an infinite being, right? We are all fractals of this source, you call it universe, God, whatever. um, we are actually a lot more powerful than they lead us to believe. And Mother Earth is beautiful. Existence is beautiful. You get to experience your five senses, your six senses, plus your intuition. There's beauty in the small things, right? So while you're going through this spiritual awakening, and maybe sometimes you feel like there's doom and gloom, there's beauty in drinking a really good cup of coffee. There's beauty in going out for walks. There's beauty in petting your pets, hanging out with family. The human experience is actually really nice besides all that, but it's really nice in itself.
Yeah, like you said, we appreciate those things. That's where you put yourself in mindfulness, presence, silence. It's only when you go into silence where you really go inside and explore and enjoy and sense, not just from 3D senses, but more than that. Your intuition, but also your higher extra sensory perceptions. And like she said, enjoy life. And there is negative things, but we don't dwell on it. We're not meant to dwell on our past either. We're meant to move forward. We're meant to evolve physically, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually. We're supposed to keep on growing, you guys. And so otherwise, we're going to fall into that or be entangled in the
Loop.
negative stuff.
Yeah.
So
And they want us to loop, but we're getting too smart for that. So I don't think it's working for them anymore.
loop, you mean as in reincarnating over and over,
No, oh
or
well
what?
that too, but like the negative loop of like work,
Yeah.
school, home, depression, consumerism.
Yeah, we get stuck in that rut, like a routine, and then think about this, you're not being mindful. you're just on autopilot. You're just like a sim character. You're behaving like one. You're just like like this. And it's like, or you have a bunch of people just stuck in devices, stuck in watching stuff, stuck in listening to stuff. They're not still. As a matter of fact, a lot of people report not, they tell themselves they can't meditate because they have too many voices, but or they just can't still their voices or their mind. But that's for practice, right? Don't you agree? You can
Yes,
learn how to do that.
yeah. Struggling with meditation is actually very common. If you guys feel bad about it, don't stress. I also struggle with meditation constantly. But there's this very good way. You don't have to force yourself to sit in a pretzel and like all the time. Meditation can also come through sketching, drawing, listening to music, just strolling and walking, and then
Yes.
finding those little peaceful moments in between. That's also a part of meditation.
Yeah, that's something that we're all um like we all do our searches, we all buy our books, we're all trying to learn something new and share that with others that who are also on a like-minded path. And so don't stop, you guys. And would you be willing to take any questions by chance
Sure.
from our audience?
Yes,
Um
100%.
yeah, let me check on chat real quick. And Um, while I'm doing that, could you tell us what have probably been the biggest responses? Like how many, like the views, like a lot of comments, a lot of likes. What topics do you think have been most popular for you?
Oh, definitely talking about politics, the matrix. People are more drawn to like the real stuff, like what is happening in the government? Why did they do this to us? What is the reason behind all these rituals that they do? Because it makes more sense to them. I tend to not get as much views or feedback when I talk about like the really what they consider woo-woo stuff like the Anunnaki, the reptilians, star seeds, indigos, and then that's when they're like, oh, okay. Which makes sense. People want tangible evidence, and then they'll slowly start to build momentum into discovering more.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like mostly for me, it's negative topics. People want to hear more about fallen angels,
Yeah,
Metatron,
yeah,
Thoth.
yeah.
If I talk about love or joy, there's no views. I'm like, what's going on, right?
I think it makes a lot of sense if you think about, because I understand where that's coming from as well. I think there's a lot of anger in our DNA that's being held. And when we talk about these things, it triggers the anger of generations of just like three seedings, like you said. Two of them, we were absolutely annihilated, right? There's a lot of like, I think repressed anger through our DNA or like our ancestors, and then people like to hear about these negative things because it's like I knew it. It's like now I remember. Now this, and that. And I think it might be a natural transition before people start to finally get the bigger picture. Like this is not how we
Yeah,
resolve things. And
yeah.
then they're gonna be more about love. I think.
Yeah, we have a question here. It seems like I get the mic cut off when I go back and forth, but let me check. Let me see. One person, okay, one person wants to ask, do you have any tips on becoming more psychic? Some.
Meditation. And again, you don't have to meditate in a pretzel formation. You can like just listen to really good music while you're doing your favorite thing, like drawing or cooking, and then feeling that space in between, that peacefulness, that's meditation. That's when your inner voice will come through. That's one tip. Another tip is stay away from junk food or like what I call like lower vibrational food. I hate to put it that way, but like junk foods or like highly processed food, not good for your DNA. Um, Another way is you can test your intuition through tarot or oracle, like I have here. But the trick is do not call upon outside entities. Like, don't
Mhm.
ask for what, like, who do people worship? Aphrodite. I don't know. I'm making this up. Um, Don't ask for outside energies, intuition, ask for your own higher self. And then you can see through the cards um, whether or not your intuition is spot on. So let's say you're reading for a friend and your friend doesn't tell you anything about her personal story. And she asks, what should I do about my boyfriend? And the cards are saying that the boyfriend is cheating. And you tell your friend, I think your boyfriend's cheating. And she says, how did you know? Then that's how you know your psychic abilities are getting better. But it has to be through your own higher self first. Don't rely on outside entities when you first get into it.
Yeah. And I've even heard Ashana, our teacher, she's talked about how she even likes tarot, but like you said, the huge difference in New Age is they're looking out here, or they're
Yeah.
asking out here, or connecting to Greek gods, Roman gods, like they do in
Yeah.
astrology. And so it's all about the inner self. And you actually, people don't really actually need anything. They could find everything within if they learn how to do that. So I think that's awesome. And we should all learn how to do that. And I think tarot could be used in a good way, just like we talk about there is distortions in Reiki, but you could incorporate Kathara Reiki. And, there's ways to adjust something that could be a little bit dangerous or risky and then make it safe for you.
Yes.
Always be mindful of that. So, is that is something I want to ask? You also, do you have anything like a website, or are you on any other platforms? You're on TikTok, you're on YouTube and Instagram.
Instagram. Yes, that's
Okay.
all for now.
And so yeah, okay. So that's people can reach you through your YouTube, through not YouTube, but Instagram.
Yes, people can reach me through my Instagram. Also, my TikTok was taken down. Be careful of scammers. I will never reach out to any of you for tarot readings. Never, never, never. Um, I had to restart my TikTok account. It's not key.guidance anymore. It's key guidances. So plural
Yeah.
guidances, key guidances. That's it.
Yeah, after the live, I'll be putting all those links in there. And
Thank you.
so this is, yeah, let me double check here. But what about any type of experiences with positive beings besides your dragon or the angel experience? Is there some type of thing that you relate to or connect to? In,
Um,
like,
there is this very loving spirit guide I have of mine. I'm not sure if she's an aspect of my higher self, but very loving, very kind. You can feel her presence all the time. And if I'm really desperate for outside information, I go for her. Um, she has like, I think she might be from Inner Earth. I think very tall, long flowing dress, like auburn, no, strawberry blonde, like curly hair. She kind of looks like a Palladian, but not
mhm.
really. Yeah. And another really positive experience I've had is I have sleep paralysis a lot. I don't know why
Whoa.
these entities always attack me. It's like, I'm sorry, trying to help people. But there is this male spirit guide. Sometimes I hear him. He wakes me up out of my sleep whenever the sleep paralysis demon or monster is getting too close. I just hear my name, like Sherry. It's like loud
Mhm.
and clear, and I snap awake. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys, I've talked about it recently too. A lot of us, I mean, a lot of people have sleep paralysis, but it's actually like she's describing it. It's an attack. It's negative energy that literally we talk about phantom beings, demons, fallen angels. They're finite. And so they feed off of the light. They feed off of our life force. And why not do it when you're sleeping, right? And you're
Yes.
not aware. This is why your voice kicked in. And I also want to say that when it comes to spirit guides, believe it or not, some of your spirit guides are you in as a higher version. And it's not like some of these spirit guides want to scare you. So they'll come to you friendly as a friendly appearance. Like for me, I've had dolphin spirit guides, Pegasus spirit guides, Raven, even Black Widow has helped me in my journey. I mean, wolves, whales, with insect ones too, bird spirit guides. And these all have meaning. You could look up
Mhm.
dream meaning of a wasp or whatever and see what that means. And according to your current circumstances. It's a message from spirit.
Yes.
So
And you're right. I think they do. Maybe my spirit guide's true form is not as humanoid. I think you're right. Maybe they sometimes morph
yeah.
themselves into looking human so they don't scare the crap out of you.
Yeah. It would have the opposite effect, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's why angels say, be not afraid, because if you see their true form, you will be afraid.
Yeah, because they're not looking like Renaissance paintings.
Yeah.
Angels are literally aliens.
Mhm.
So they're gonna look different and not always like a human form even. If you think about our higher guardians, they're in the form of geometries. They're suns. They're hot plasma. They don't have eyes and nose and legs and arms, but uh, God is great. God takes on many forms.
Hmm.
Do you ever do
And
lives yourself,
um,
either on
no, because I've
TikTok or anywhere?
TikTok. Oh, TikTok is hard. I think YouTube would be better if I do lives. I think I'll do more lives on YouTube. TikTok, if I just say one trigger word, I'm banned.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that I've faced that too, dear. I feel it's a form of censorship.
Hmm.
And so they will do shadow banning. They will do, I mean, this stupid nonsense. So we just have to. One thing I want to tell you that really helped me tremendously, at least on Instagram, was they have the option for you to create certain words you don't want to show up in comments. Man, I was getting tapped hardcore schizophrenia comments over and
Yeah.
over and over again. Thousands, 7,000, 10,000 likes on that. So I know this is what is going on. So I made this
Bots.
file and I blocked all those
Yeah.
words and magically they all stopped.
Yeah.
So, and when you get someone come through with a new keyword, put that on your ban list. And I don't know if TikTok does that. Maybe they do.
TikTok does
So,
that. Yeah. I've had to
oh,
filter so
really?
many comments. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
here's another.
starting to,
Go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, do you also have impersonators? Because I get
Oh, yeah.
impersonators
Oh my
and they
gosh.
go
I
and
have
ask
like
my people for
hundreds.
money.
Yeah. I have to
Hundreds.
start putting like these little captions, I guess, like
Yeah.
little notes on my video, basically saying I will never reach out to you. Like it's on the
Right.
video. So if they download my video and they try to steal my video, it will say I will
Oh,
never reach out to you. Yeah.
yeah.
I think you should start doing that too, like
That's
in
a
the
good
little corner.
idea.
Yeah, I will
That's a good
never
idea.
reach out to you for any services. Please do not get scammed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have hundreds. I counted 100 something last time I counted, 100 something fake accounts of me. And it's the craziest thing. I don't know if they stalk me or there's like a system at play, like an AI system. Every
Yeah.
time I change my profile picture or I change my description,
They'll
5 minutes
upload.
later they do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a groups that allow people to join and help attack you. So some people don't want
Yeah.
this message out. And and
Yeah.
and then they'll say, oh, what can I do to try to stop them or something? And that's just something that we light workers, we just have to learn how to defend ourselves and keep on standing in our message.
Yeah. And I have a
Right.
feeling that these like schizo comments are from bots or like,
They
or
must
maybe the
be.
person, yeah, or maybe the person is like actually like possessed and like doing things for whatever
Well,
thing is possessing them.
there's way too many of them though. So
Yeah.
it happens on my live here sometimes on YouTube. So this is why I have moderators, but also you can change it to one message per minute so someone can't spam you a bunch of times.
Yeah, that's great. I'll keep
If
that in
you,
mind.
yeah.
Yeah. The best way
Because,
to combat it is sometimes I read it and I troll them and I was like, yeah, I guess I am. I don't know how a schizophrenic person made it through biochemistry and almost got it like got accepted to medical school.
yeah.
Must be something special.
Well, regardless, it's a very unloving thing to even talk
Yeah,
about schizophrenics. There's real people who have the issues like that.
yeah,
So now you're trying to, you're like,
I
okay,
know.
this is
The
people's
best way to
consciousness.
combat it, yeah, is through laughter. And sometimes I shame them. And I was like, I use the same tactics as you. I'm like, why are you making a joke out of something so serious? You should be ashamed of yourself.
Or well, there's a lot of people in chat. We would all send them smileys and love,
Yeah, yeah.
transmute their energy with the positive loving energy.
Hmm.
And
There's
so,
always a way. There's always a choice of how to combat these. The worst thing you can do, which is a total waste of your energy, and I had to learn this the hard way as well, is to entertain it and get mad.
yeah.
It's such a waste of your energy.
Well, they want you to trigger
Yeah.
and go back to those old emotions that we used to have. No, honey, we're gonna do this. We're not we're gonna put boundaries right there and stop this thing.
Hmm.
So, you think you can go for 10 more minutes or 15 minutes?
Yes. Yes.
Cool. All right. But yeah, I think it's always good that like-minded co-creators, create content together. Why not, right?
Yeah. It's because there's a lot of spiritual people, but there are very few of us, particularly because what we talk about
Yeah.
is more niche than a lot of the other spiritual teachers. The one spiritual teacher that I'm a little bit suspicious about that has millions of followers is Billy Carson. And
Oh,
that I'm just, yeah,
OMG. I
yeah,
suspect the same as you, dear. I think it's there's certain people in place who are meant to who are part of the bigger new age distortion. Like they're meant to lead the new age. Because we know from the teachings that the fallen angels are actually the ones who created the new age.
yes,
It wasn't meant to be all looking for God out here, looking for anything out here. That's what Billy Carson is actually talking to him. And not to mention we're not throwing hate, you guys. We're simply describing what are some of the things that are distortions, such as saying that we were created by the Anunnaki.
which
This
is
is
not
not our
true.
heritage. We're
No.
not, these are, and also they're all being worshipped. Just like Archangel
Yes.
Michael, the Galactic Federation, these are all supposedly good guys, but they're not, you guys. So we're just trying to bring that other voice in. And so you could maybe consider, because we also
Yeah.
know that Thoth is one of Billy Carson's biggest inspirations. Same with Drunville Melchizedek was talking all about Thoth. And so these are something that you got to be mindful of. I think he's brilliant, but he's got a bunch of distortions that are disempowering people. We don't want to do that. We
Yes.
want we want to empower people.
Yeah.
And not
Any teaching that tells you to worship something like it's your God is probably
mhm.
not the right teaching for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and also telling us that assuming that some ancient tablet from a long time ago is automatically truth. People don't think about that. They think, oh, it's an ancient stone. It must be real. It must be true. But what do you mean? You still have to check it and fact check it. You still have
Yes.
to see if it's following the unity consciousness or Christ consciousness or law of one, or is it telling you some other message? So I don't care if it's 10,000 years old. If it's still teaching you distortions,
Yeah.
okay?
Seriously, like any spiritual teaching, any spiritual leader that tells you give your energy to this one entity or these groups of entities, that's your number one red flag. Because any loving entity would never want to harvest your energy, would never live through such grandiose ego. They that entity will teach you be at one with Mother Nature because it's your mother, right? Take care of nature, be in balance. The right teachings will always teach you balance, not to worship.
Yeah, and that humans are quite capable of finding their own spiritual mastery. They don't need to find
Mhm.
it in some self-proclaimed archangel. They don't need to be guided or led. Of course, we want to be inspired, but we're not trying to worship and be subservient or think we're less. And so, if the message that you're hearing from someone is about, oh, these are higher beings who come to assist and guide us, but it's all about some type of worship or something like that, it's a red flag. So
Mhm. And uh I don't even know if I want to get into this, but a lot of
go
what
for
these
it.
a lot of what these gods that a lot of new age spiritualists
Yeah.
worship they don't like humans. They don't respect you guys. They do some heinous things to humans. So be careful what you worship because it's at some point, it's like these beings that you consider gods are laughing at you.
Yeah, it's they're worse than humans. If you guys actually look at what how they talk and how they behave. I
Yeah.
mean, if they're angry, hello, anger is not a divine positive quality. If they're judging, another negative quality that's not positive, or you're not, people don't realize that darkness goes all the way up to the higher dimensions. And according to these teachings, all the way up to the 11th dimension. But
Mhm.
most New Age people think that everything above us, the third dimension, is good and peaceful and kind. No, it's not.
No.
Chet, look, what do you see in those qualities?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure was it the Anunnaki or the Draco reptilians? They go up to the 10th or 11th dimension, like
Oh,
their DNA. Yeah.
the reptilians, 10 strands,
Mhm.
Anunnaki or 11 strands. So,
Yeah, so you would think through these teachings, like, oh, they must know everything. Like they're so high and mighty. No, they like some of them lack even more wisdom than we do, which is astonishing for an
yeah,
entity to have 11 strands of DNA and not have as much wisdom. They're very intelligent though. But there's a difference between
yeah,
intelligence, like just having like book smart, science smart versus actual wisdom.
yeah. And so just because something's like you said, you could have lower dimensional people who are more spiritually evolved than they are. Because these are dark avatars practicing phantom, fear, guilt, shame, put down women, all this stuff. But okay, so you're more evolved than they are spiritually. Yes, they're very brilliant. And so I mean, they've managed to attack our planet and distort it and now attack us and mutate our DNA. They're brilliant, but we don't condone what they do. Okay, so
Um,
it's
they it's like they envious yet look down on us at the same time, which really is just still envy because it's all ego. If I'm not mistaken, I think our original human template was like 48 strands or 42. I don't know the
well,
exact number.
the angelic humans are in fifth dimension. They have 12 strand diamond sun DNA. But there are beings who do have 24 strands, like an indigo type 3. Indigo, there's beings who have 36 strands up to 48 strands, like an Azurite, or even like our Lyran Anuhazi races. Some of the even some of the higher Orifine angels have 48 strand. But yeah, man, it's like all those dark beings are capped. They don't by
Yeah.
their own free will, they can't go above the 11th dimension. So
They've created their own black hole matrix in which they have no choice but to absorb other people's energy, which
exactly.
at some point you do feel bad for them, but
Yeah,
what can you do?
but there is something wonderful that they always have the free will choice to get healed and come back and join us. It's called a host matrix. And
Mhm.
so host matrix is what the guardians offer, and that some of these beings agree to, where they can get their 12th strand and reclaim their Christos, their Christic, become Christic again and choose if they want to stay and serve or leave.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I want to talk about too is ascension. Like I think spiritual awakening leads to ascension, right? So what we're trying to do is evolve, not stay here. We want to expect, transmigrate, right?
Yeah. And another message I want to get to newly spiritually
Sure.
awakened people, don't see Earth as a trap. I mean, technically it kind of is, but in a grand scheme, it's not. Earth is not a trap.
Yeah.
Um, Once you understand that your soul is infinite and there's always choices that you can make to ascend out of here, heal your DNA, help others, it doesn't feel like a trap anymore. It feels like a really like it almost feels like a game. If you treat ascension kind of like a game sometimes, I think it'll help you move along in a much smoother process instead of it being so daunting.
Yeah, it's not prison planet, but it
Yeah.
just know that there is negativity and that you have free will. You're not damned. You always have the ability. to reclaim your
Level up.
consciousness. Yeah,
Yeah.
level up. And think about this, you guys. Uh, we're all ascended masters who came in here. And then it's a level of downstepping to the earth or, or falling, whatever you want to call it. And so when you go from a 12-strand avatar and fall to the 3D, that's 9 strands missing. That means they went into your junk. They're in your junk DNA right now. So a spiritual journey. So you're already those high levels. So we're
Yeah.
just simply reclaiming Machua. I'm so happy you came here, Sherry. It's been a
I'm
great
so
joy.
Yeah, I'm so happy for this call too because I think even before starting my TikTok, I remember seeing your videos. I remember subscribing to
Oh,
you through a personal account. And I was watching you,
there
and I
we
was
go.
just like, what he was saying is totally true. I can't believe it took me like 2 years to discover this kind of stuff. But yeah, it was all meant to be. It's like I think the spiritual community we're starting to all integrate together because I think it's about time. I think we're by 2025, because the number five is about change, right, through numerology. I think there's going to be an even more noticeable shift into true spirituality, not just New Age.
Yeah, I see that in myself. Like each year, man, it's more expansion.
Yeah.
So what that does, it actually helps new people. It's going to be easier for new people because we're all the heavy hitters are holding the code and sharing it, and now we're all exponentially growing, and bringing in more of our higher selves. And like you said, true spiritual knowledge. We're
Hmm.
dismissing, we're cleansing, we're transmuting the old paradigms that have affected our human race. And so this is a spiritual war, but we're going to stand in our light. We're going to stand in our power.
Yep.
So, so thank you. It's been a great gift for you to, and you guys, you can reach Sherry Key. Her site is on Instagram. I'm going to be putting the links after this live. Give me 10 minutes after the live. And you can reach out to her if you want to on Instagram, leave a direct message. And who knows, maybe we'll have a part two, but I'm so happy to meet you. Thank you for
Me
sharing with us,
too.
Sherry.
Thank you for this live stream. I hope we helped even more people through this. I hope we brought two communities together as well.
Machua. Blessings
Yeah.
to all of you. Thank you so much, Sharon. Take care.